All right. Hello, everybody. I'm back with episode 2 of my new show where we sit down every week and talk with somebody local about the great outdoors. You got to love it, right? And so this week, got Mr. Derek Steele going to join us. And let me go ahead and try and get him on here now. Just take just a second. All right. Hold on. Let's see here. Let's try it one more time. Try and send me that one more time there, Derek, if you hear me. I see where it says you're trying to join. All right, here we go. There it goes. All right, should show you. It says joining. Okay, here we go. Good. Sorry about that. How you
Technical
doing?
difficulties. I'm good, man.
Good. Thank you for joining me today, Derek.
Oh, you're welcome. Quite welcome.
Yes, sir. Love your background back there.
Figured I'd have a few things to talk about, props as they were.
I know that's right. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, man. So how you doing today? You doing good?
Yeah, everything's good. Just went out and fed the critters this evening and saw all 3 or 4 guys at our club. Shot a couple of nights, so season's kind of winding down. Everything's good.
Good deal. So I got you on today. I wanted to, talk about the outdoors with you. I got lots of topics for everybody to talk about. Let everybody see. First off, I want to talk to you about that buck you sent me, that gray buck. I know a lot of people was had a lot of comments and stuff about that deer. They were very, that was a really cool deer you sent.
Yeah. So, I'll talk about Frank a lot tonight. He's been my partner for over 20 years. We watched each other's kids grow up. I used to do some of his bow work, still do his bow work, but I did it when I was working, part-time at an outdoor shop. So that's how we first met.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been really, really good at getting us a few really premier places. I say premier, they're really good for us. They're local. Some of them are small. Some of them are just like in single digit acre size. So
Wow.
when I say small, like very
Yeah.
small, but we when we first started hunting, we were hunting a 400-acre farm in Burke County, and it had very little pressure. But something you can kind of train the deer is like the old farmer that had that place. He would drive around. He was retired. He just drive around. The deer were so used to truck traffic that literally you could drive around middle of the day and just deer were standing in the pines just looking at you drive by because they were used to his truck
There
driving
we
by.
Yeah.
So this spot that we were catching this deer on, and we've had him, we've had 3 years of camera uh, study with him, and we tried to hunt him last year a little bit, just never did come to pass. This year was a lot more regular. We started getting more and more daytime pictures of him, especially like mid to late November. Kind of, I think our deer like to really rut the last week of October, first week or so of November. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a little bit over. He started being a little more patternable coming to food, and we hunted the spot, passing deer, passing some really nice deer, a lot of does, just waiting on that one deer, and that is very trying when you do that over and over, sit after sit. You see the same deer. There's a
Yep.
bobtail doe that we're trying to get now. Her tail's only, you know, about 3 inches long.
Oh, wow.
So when you study him, you find little intricacies that, and he had some big intricacies.
Yeah.
After talking to the state biologist, come out that he had a condition that kept some of his skin cells from holding any pigment at all, and that's why he had a lot of white and those discolorations on him. Not really a piebald. Piebald's completely different.
Yeah.
Than what he had. But anyway, I was just the lucky one. I was on my way in, and I tried. You know, most of the time we get in the dark. At this place, there's a lot of human traffic around. There's a lot
Okay.
of there's a lot of horses around, and I timed it to get in right at daybreak, and I get 5 minutes from there, and my phone's lighting up with pictures of him, and I'm like, oh, you know, he's there. And I said, I can wait. If he leaves, he's going to eat till he's full, and he's going to leave, and he's not going to come back until maybe this evening. So I just went in there. As soon as I got there, I drove. I could drive really close to him, and I drove, and I just ran him off. And I parked the truck, got out quick as I could, hurried, climbed up, and just was everything ready, everything still. And all of a sudden, I saw the shadow coming back in, and
It was him.
I checked my watch. Oh yeah. He was. I mean, the big frame and the light colored, and I checked my watch, make sure I was good on the time, and I turned it loose on him. So.
Oh man, that went quick then.
Yeah. I mean, it probably wasn't. I wasn't up there 10 or 12 minutes.
Oh my
And he was
gosh.
coming back in. But we've been experimenting with a different type of food. Started spicing it up with some caramel and some other extracts and stuff. And it's like when you put that out, he was really interested in it.
Wow.
So we use a lot of cob corn and stuff like that normally, but
Yeah.
you know, he just to add another layer to it, you know, add a little few more attractants to it. And it was been some experimentation this year, but evidently it worked out pretty good.
You say caramel? They like that?
Oh yeah, caramel, peanut butter,
I've tried
all the flavors.
peanut butter
Yeah,
before. I've never thought about caramel, so that's
yeah.
interesting. Okay, I got you. I noticed when we talked before, I know you said you told me to go look at your YouTube page, and you know everybody, if you haven't looked, Derek's Still Passing Through on YouTube. You need to go check that out. You've been really all over the world hunting, and that's really cool. And that's what attracted me to wanting to talk to you as well, is that you have a lot of knowledge, a lot of interesting stories you can share with everybody today. Um, and just wanted to touch base on that. And if you wanted to talk about, you know, some of your trips to Africa, I know you said you've been to Canada, you know.
You know, that's a nice way of saying I'm old.
Well, no. Come on, man. You ain't old.
Well,
Just
it's
experienced.
well those to do that, and I talk to a lot of people say, "Oh, you're so lucky to do these things," but it's a lot of work. I mean, I put in
Hmm.
a lot of long hours. I work weekends, nights, so that I can do this
Hmm.
and it not affect my household income.
Yes,
You know,
sir.
all this stuff is extra money. So,
Hmm.
you say extra, but you know now it's tougher. But we used to take a trip to Alabama, that Frank found a little place there, and it was 12,000 acres of bow hunting only, and it was like really going to the Super Bowl when
Hmm.
you went there, because you see 50 deer a day, easy
Yeah.
easy 50 deer a day,
Wow, that's a
and
lot.
if you don't start going, that was part of my thing. I said I don't want to be old and where I can't go,
Hmm.
and then not have gone.
Hmm.
So
I understand.
you got to start early, and these things, they're all doable. It just takes research. You want to be legal, and some of these places we go have very strange rules. Very, like, you know, Kansas, for instance, you have to take a picture of the deer before you touch it with your phone, and send it in when you're doing your
Hmm.
harvest check,
Oh,
so that
wow.
they can and I'm sure they verify it with the metadata on the picture, that with the location, GPS, and all that, plus what you're claiming it is, and so you just gotta know what to do at the different places that you go.
I understand. That's interesting. I ain't never heard of that. I mean, they want to see a picture of it before you even touch it.
Right. Yep.
That's cool. Um, you said you've also been to Africa,
Yep.
and
Yep.
that's really cool. I've always wanted to look into doing that one day. That's very interesting because there's all kinds of different animals over there that you can get.
It's 28 or 29 species just of plains game before
Wow.
you get into any of the dangerous stuff.
Yeah.
And I want to do some plains game. We did that back in 20 2016, uh, and it was a blast. I went with uh, I don't know if you know Jay Maxwell from he's around Monroe, Atlanta. He was with
Hmm.
C1 when they first started. But Jay had a contact in South Africa, and it's nice to know somebody that has a contact that can put you in touch with them, and you're going to be taken care of, and you get everything worked out. And we got on a plane, and 16 hours later, we were there. So
Wow. That's a 16-hour flight.
it's a 16-hour straight flight from Atlanta.
Oh, okay. Gosh, that's a long time. Mm.
Yeah, you
Um,
got to break it up a little bit.
yeah, I bet. I noticed you got some on some of your YouTube videos that I was looking at. You got I know one of them you said you got a lot of clapback from your typical people that's gonna have bad things to say. You're gonna have that, right?
Yeah,
Um, and I was watching your video, man, and just like the way you explained, how, how what you were doing just was going to be so good for other people in the community, like their little community over there and all that. And I wanted you to touch base and talk to all the viewers here about that and explain their experience over there with that. I thought that was really cool.
yeah. It's the same principle as our hunting
Yeah.
here. Uh, if when the average person decides they want to go hunting, they buy clothes, they buy boots, um, they may buy a side by side or a four wheeler. They're going to buy a weapon of whatever. They're going to have to buy ammo or arrows, and that touches a lot of people that work at the sporting goods store that you're buying something from, that they're supporting their family off of your purchase.
Hmm.
Then when you go hunting and you harvest something, you're taking it and you're having it processed. That's putting more money into other people's pockets.
Hmm.
You can do it yourself. I mean, I know how to do that. All and that's another thing. Like when you go to Kansas, you can't bring back any bone-in meat. You got to know how to butcher it and take all the bones out, and take all the you got to cape it out, take all the brain matter out of your euro or your skull. Um,
Hmm.
so you got to know those things, and
Hmm.
it's important to know. But in Africa, it's the same way. Your skinner, my skinner made $10 a day is
Oh
what
my
he
gosh.
what he was
Hmm.
paid, $10 a day. And it my PH, I was like, how much money do I tip him? He says, look, don't go crazy. If you He said, we've had guys give them, $1,000 for a 10-day hunt, which
Hmm.
is, that's not a lot of money. But for what they do, they do a lot of work. He
Hmm.
said, if you give him that money, we won't see him for a month. He'll be going off drinking, spending that money, and we won't see him for a month.
Yeah.
So be reasonable with what you give them.
Hmm.
So we just kind of figured that out. I left some of my dad's knives over there. I left my bow over there for my PH.
Hmm.
I came back with a lot less stuff than I took over, for real. Any of your T-shirts, your clothes, anything that you can give those people, they are so grateful for it. And
Yeah.
just know that when you go, you're touching the porter at the airport, you're touching the shuttle driver, you're touching uh, all the people at the airline counter, uh, all the people at the local stores, the local crafts markets that you have there. All of that helps that whole population out.
Yeah. Yeah, and they get to also, I mean, the animals. I mean, sometimes you can even help out with like the animals that you get that
Yep.
they'll feed the families there, right?
Yeah. Like so the bigger animals, the farmers usually have buyers for them,
Hmm.
or um, or they have a plan for it. The smaller stuff, like the baboons and the monkeys, that's probably the craziest hunt that we've got going on. And those my tracker Eric, he was trying to talk me into shooting every monkey and every baboon because that his family. He said we eat that every night. We'll eat that every night, and they're living in places without electricity. So you can imagine, even though it was wintertime when we went there, you can imagine meat's not going to keep that long. So they needed a fresh supply of it. In fact, one of my little props here is the monkey skull from the one from the video, and you can see the broadhead coming out the top of his head.
Wow.
That slit right there is where the broadhead came out. It went in the base here,
the back, yeah,
and out the front. And that's
okay.
the vervid That's the vervid monkey that you see. I shot him right before we got down. These guys won't come around when the baboons are there, because the baboon, look at the difference in the skull.
The size, yeah. Oh my gosh, that is a big difference.
And if you look at the baboon's teeth, look at the teeth compared to my finger.
I never even knew. Yeah, I never even knew that they really even had teeth like that. That's wild.
Yeah, they will kill dogs. They'll just grab a dog they use a lot of Jack Russells. And Dave was telling me, he says, if you shoot one and you don't, kill it straight away, he said, I'm not going to put my dogs on these, because they'll grab a dog and just bite it and break its back.
Oh my!
Just kill the dog. So he said, you got to make a good shot. And if you go watch the video, you know that happened. It was two really good shots.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I bet. I mean, that's a precise area too that you got it.
Right.
How far away was he when you got him? 20, 30 yards?
Yeah, they were in the low 20s, 21, 22, 23, something like that.
See, man, you're a sharpshooter, man.
If you knew the trouble I've had with my eyes, I've had like 7 eye surgeries, and it's tough I don't shoot as good as I did when I was in my 30s and even in my early 40s, but I still do. I do pretty good, but it's still tough.
I got you. Wanted to talk to you about Canada too. I mean, I thought that was really cool when I seen that you had went to Canada, because that's always been like a dream of mine, is going to, man, really honestly, Alberta, Saskatchewan. I grew up watching like we all did, real tree outdoors and Buckmasters, and I love watching them guys go up there. And it's so fascinating that them deer up there, a 200-pound deer up there is like nothing. Like a buck here is 200 pounds. That's a great one. Yeah. But up there, I mean, I'm sure they might even have does up there 200 pounds. I don't know, but
I just looked at the weather station yesterday at the place where we bear hunt, and it was minus 27, and the high for yesterday was minus 19.
Oh my gosh!
So yeah, they got to be bigger to survive in all that.
Yeah, to handle all that weather. Yeah,
yep, that
makes sense. Gosh,
but the bush is so thick up there, and there's a lot of moss and lichen still, even that far south.
Mm-hmm.
And we were north of Saskatoon about 5 hours. Mm-hmm. So even there, the timber's so thick. I mean, it's like a 10-year-old clear cut is how thick it is. A deer or a bear can take 5 steps out of a lane, and you can't see them. Can't see them
really
anymore.
That big. You said there's lots of like open spots too, though, right? Like lots of big fields and areas like that too as well.
You can find some meadows, but and some clear cuts where they do go in and harvest mm-hmm. trees. I guess they're doing paper and other products with them. But mm-hmm. So there's some open, and down south below the forest where we were, there's a lot of farmland and a lot of open mm-hmm. rolling hills there too. Yep.
I got you. So let's see here. You do most of your hunting though locally though, right, in South Carolina?
Yeah. I mean, this year it's we try to, but we had a trip. We did Labor Day trip to Wyoming for a velvet mule deer. We got close, but didn't close the deal. Came back. We're still hunting here. Mm-hmm. I took my daughter to a 2-day youth rifle hunt in southeast Montana. So we did that in October. Came back 1st of November, went to Kansas, came back. Now we're just local around here until the end of the year. But so
Yeah.
we hunt more here, but we still travel 2 or 3 places a year.
I got you.
Just to mix things up a little bit.
I understand. How's your season going so far?
Pretty good. I've got 3 to pick up, including the smoky deer.
Yeah.
Try to
Yeah.
try to get them this weekend. And you know, my daughter shot that buck. She shot a nice buck in Montana. You know, to be 15, you know, and shoot a mule deer. She's a pretty good mule deer. So we're waiting to get him back.
I bet she was thrilled too to get that.
Yeah, she likes seeing the different stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, she's taken a few nice whitetails, Tennessee. She's taken a nice velvet on early youth day for South Carolina, and
Mhm.
you know, she's taken that one. She's taken probably one of the most fun hunts we ever had was she was probably about 9 or 10, and she was sitting on my knee, and we had a spike buck that was coming in every night, and that spike buck came in and she shot him at like 8 yards with a crossbow, just sitting on my
Oh, wow.
leg and just having a good time doing that, and that was nice for me to just sit there and watch it.
Yeah.
It's her hunts. I let her do
Yeah.
her thing.
Exactly. So she can learn. I mean, let her learn from mistakes and stuff like that too. That's the only way that anybody is going to get better is doing it themselves. That's true. That's very true.
Absolutely.
Have you ever shot a moose?
No, not a moose.
Not a
Haven't
moose.
done that one yet. Now we see them every time we go the Bighorns. We see moose. So we you know get to take good pictures. But you know, like the biggest thing I've shot is probably between an elk that I shot in Idaho and the wildebeest that I shot in South Africa, body
Yeah.
wise.
Yeah.
But like I've been putting in for elk in Montana, no, elk in Wyoming, and I've been buying points for 8 years, and I'm going to have to buy points for another 4 or 5 more years before I can even draw. That's how tough the draw is out there.
Oh my gosh. I didn't know it was like that. Okay.
Oh yeah.
I've just always seen videos and stuff of moose. I've never been able to make it out that way, but man, gosh, those things are so huge, and
Yeah.
I hear that they can be aggressive at times too. So
Yeah. One came. I mean, they just walk wherever they want to go. They
yeah.
don't go. One walked down in the little camp that we were at. Had little chalets around, and a lady was out there with her cell phone, and I was like, "Honey, you better get away," because she's like, "Oh, it's okay, you know,
Yeah.
I can get behind this picnic table," and I'm like, "That moose will not even care about that picnic table. He'll walk right through it."
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Want to touch base with you too about just about hunting in South Carolina in general. I know when I talked to you the other day, I know we were talking about how the buck limit and stuff like that, like it being, I've been always used to us only being able to kill 2 over here, and I told you a guy sent me a picture, and I was wondering about all the bucks, and I was like, wow. And then I had to Google, and then you can get 5 over there. And I was just curious, have you seen it make hunting better in the state of South Carolina as a whole, or has it negatively affected it any, or if it's kind of been the same, or in your opinion?
You know, every year we start seeing nicer and nicer bucks, you know,
Uh-huh.
throughout the state. You know, social media has been great for seeing what's out there.
Exactly.
Before you just, you know, took them to the processor, maybe you had them out in your house, or some euros or just some horns laying around. And that's it. It was not very difficult to share. Now you can
Hmm.
see what's out there. And even though you can get 5, just like in Georgia, even though you can get 2, doesn't mean that necessarily you need to fill them. You're not, you know, and I'm guilty of it in my earlier days, that if I had a tag, I wanted to fill it. But, you know, now I see that you don't really have to.
Hmm.
And trigger control is the best way to get them older. Now I understand some people just want to shoot a deer, then they want to shoot a buck, and they don't care about it. They're just looking for hamburger and cube steak stew meat, some jerky.
Some
That's
deer
that's what they
jerky.
want, and that's great. That's great. I don't, you know, you see it. I know you see it. People get bashed for posting up a small
Hmm.
deer. They're happy with that deer. If they were happy with that deer and they want to, they all pay the same price to get in the freezer. So
Exactly.
they all deserve respect, whether it's a doe, a buttonhead, or a big buck. They
Hmm.
all pay the same price, and once you remove them, they're gone.
Hmm.
So the limit in South Carolina in the Low Country
Hmm.
was used to be no limit on bucks. It used to
Hmm.
be no limit. So I've known people that would shoot 20 or 30 bucks a year.
Hmm.
So now if you've got a limit of 5, and not everybody does that,
Hmm.
I think I see that as an improvement. I'd like to see it kind of similar to Georgia,
Hmm.
but there's something there's something northern states. When you have a northern state that limits you to one deer, or maybe one buck and one doe, they have they lose a lot of deer in the winter due to the winter kill. And
Mm.
winter kill was not something that was even in my vocabulary, being a southern hunter. You know,
Uh-huh.
our deer, it does not usually get that cold for that long down here that a deer can't survive 2 or 3 days of sub-freezing weather. And
Hmm.
up there, it could be weeks or a month.
Yeah.
And the older, more mature animals, the young ones, those are the ones that die. So
Mm.
they can't have the limits that we have. We have a population. It's a booming population. Georgia and South Carolina both.
Yeah.
A lot of deer.
Yeah. Oh, lots of deer. Yeah.
Lots of
I
deer.
never thought about it like that, and now that you mention that, I guess if it snows a lot and all the food is buried in, 2 foot of snow, that puts a lot of pressure on them trying to hunt down food. So I can
Right.
see how it would affect them.
And that's why a lot of those the people that film and do all that stuff in the Midwest, they leave a lot of their crops standing, so that they can get to them. And
Hmm.
it's an attractant to get the deer out where they can get some video and shoot the deer, but it's also serves as vertical cover. It serves as windbreaks, and it serves as getting the food up out of the snowbank so that they can eat on it a little bit.
Yeah.
A deer has to eat. If they don't eat, their bacteria die in their stomach and they're gone. They get sick and gone.
Mm.
So they have to eat to perpetuate all those enzymes and the bacteria in their gut.
Yeah. Gotcha. Did you got any cool stories would you like to share today? I mean, oh, you're laughing. Okay. I must have hit the right question then.
I thought about this. I thought about this after we talked the other day,
Uh-huh.
and this is the first time I've told this story, but it's the first time publicly
Yeah.
of me telling this story. You have to go back to 2012 on my videos, and you'll see Frank's bear hunt.
Uh-huh.
Now we had some weather that hunt. We were in a donut hole. There was weather all around us. It never really affected us, but there was snow and rain. So the first night I had a nice bear come in, boop, I shoot my bear. Um, and Frank, he didn't, he had a couple of small bears come in, didn't shoot anything. So the next night I go and I'm filming for him. So we're in separate trees,
Hmm.
and he has several bears come in. He has a bear come in that he wants to shoot, and he shoots him, and he hit him. So something that's different about bears is their hair on the bottom when they're standing on all fours. Um, that new hair is about 8 inches long. So
Okay.
all that, when you see a thick bear, that bottom third is air. There's nothing but air in there. Um, and that's why you shoot the middle top to bottom. If you shoot the middle top to bottom on a bear,
Hmm.
you're good. You're good. He hit him a smidge low, and it was right above the sternum. Okay.
Hmm.
And the bear arrow goes through, bear runs off, rolls, and takes off into the timber. Our the guy that we had was he wasn't necessarily a guide. He was basically a taxi driver,
Hmm.
that was helping out the outfitters that we had, and we're pretty confident. We're like, good old boys. We're used to doing our own thing. We don't need a whole lot of help. We know how to use climbers. So he gave us this guy, and he would drop us off, and he's like, if y'all get anything, just walk out, meet me at the road, or you can stay in the tree and I'll come get you. So Frank shoots this bear, and bear runs off. And we talk about it. I was like, look pretty good. He's like, yeah, I think so. So we get down and we go to investigate, and we go over there, and there's immediately we start seeing good amounts of blood, and it's going through the woods, and we get about 80 to 100 yards, and I mean, we're seeing copious amounts of blood, and I don't see anything, and I'm like, man, I don't like this. I said, let's go back and wait on our fellow to come get us. So we go back, and he comes, we resume. It's been about maybe an hour and a half. We resume the trail. We go through a lot of jacked timber and stuff where we're having to really crawl over it. And I tell Frank, I said, I'm going to concentrate on the blood. I said, you keep your eyes up and you keep looking and look for that bear, because this bear's he's going a good ways. And we go, and it's starting to get dark. We go about another 50 or 75 yards, and we hear this raking of a tree. And we look and we see a shadow going up the tree. I was like, oh, that's your bear. Bear's going up the tree. And all right, that's a good thing. I wait. He gets out kind of to the first big limb he can, big pine tree, and he's just sitting there on the limb. And I grab Frank, and I said, all right. I said, there's your shot right there. Shoot him. So Frank shoots him, and the bear died in the tree. You see all that in the recovery. He died over a limb and didn't fall down. Well, we did all that, got the bear, and I turned around, and our guide that was supposed to be there was gone. When that bear went up the tree, he turned and hauled tail.
Really?
And we saw him back of the truck.
Did that
he
work?
Was not into it. It didn't worry me, but it tells you the kinds of people that you're dealing with. Whether you're going to be there and toe to toe and get the job done, or whether you're going to turn coat and run.
Oh my gosh! Did he end up trying to help y'all out, or he just left for good?
No, he left, and we with looking at the bear in the tree, nothing to do. We walk out. It's dark now. We get back to the bait site, and the seat on the quad had been torn up while we were down there. It was torn up by another bear. They ripped the foam out of the seats.
Wow.
Yeah, and so we went out and came in the next day with an extension ladder. You see, it's in the recovery.
It's in the video. I got you.
Yeah. We come in with an extension ladder, put the ladder up the tree. Frank goes up there, pushes the bear off.
Yeah.
And then we use the ladder to carry the bear out.
Wow. That's pretty neat. I'm going to have to check that video out. Everybody needs to check that out. Man, that's cool. How was bear meat? I always heard bear meat's kind of tough. Or have you ever tried it?
Yeah, they really, and this is kind of controversial, but spring bears, they really discourage you from even messing with the meat, because the reason is that when they're denned up, they are recycling everything. They're recycling their urine, they're recycling all their body waste, and it has the meat a very strong smell, and they say the taste is not anything. There's no fat on them, very little fat.
Yeah.
And it's just not a good process to go through.
So that's what I heard. I was just going to say.
Now the fall bears, if it's a fall bear and they're on, they've got a good crops to eat. I've never tried that, but that's on my list. It's on my list.
I got you. I'm gonna check these comments real quick, see if anybody's made any comments. I think we got any comments yet. No comments yet. Okay, so I was just gonna check the comments if we had any. I was gonna reply back. Let's see what else I was wanting to talk to you about. Do you have any still goals ahead of you that you want to try and do, or things you want to try and accomplish, whether it's go here, kill this kind of animal, or anything like that you may want to still try and do in your future?
It would be nice to go back to Africa, I would really like to go there. And there's a
Hmm.
couple of those that I would like to for just around here. I'd settle for a nice 140-inch 10 point. You know,
Yeah.
I've shot the big now the deer that I shot this year, the smoky deer,
Hmm.
is not gonna score that much. I think he's 6 or 7 years old. I'll find out whenever I get his tooth back from the lab in Montana. But the biggest deer I shot one about a mile and a half as a crow flies from where I shot the smoky deer.
Hmm.
I shot a 156-inch non-typical in 2014. So that one is that's been the biggest deer that I've shot, and but just a clean 10 point has always eluded me. So
Wow.
that's and I know people that shoot those just about every
Yeah.
year, but I just don't. I just
It,
don't get it. I get a
it,
bunch of 8s and 9s.
you can't get that lucky, huh?
I can't get that 10th point.
Oh man,
This
I
this
seen.
guy this guy right here is he's 21 inches wide. He was an
I was
eight
about to
year
say that's a wide one.
He's an 8-year-old deer, and he's a 9 point, and he only scores about 123 inches.
Yeah,
So he doesn't make Pope, um,
I got you.
and but he's you see he's at the top. He's at the top for a
Yeah,
reason.
exactly. I know I watched a video the other day where and it made me think about us this interview coming up. I wanted to talk to you about have you ever thought about doing like anything like what was his name? Tim Wells, I think it was, where he does the
Right.
spearing.
Yeah,
Have you ever thought about doing something like that?
I've met Tim a couple of times, and he is a bad human being. I would not want him after me. That's one individual I would not want after me anytime.
You
Um,
are not lying.
and that would be fun. I mean, he got an Arkansas whitetail
Yeah,
with a spear.
yeah, that's what I'm
Um,
talking about.
I mean, any man that will go kill a bear with a blowgun, that's a bad dude.
Yep.
Um, he does things. He's just outrageous. But what I I like to do my own little thing. There's certain I used to never. I, w- so when I was transitioning from shooting just deer
Hmm.
to shooting targeted deer or bigger deer, um, the one thing that would get me riled up is if I had a deer that came in and then saw me,
Hmm.
and if a deer saw me and like realized, uh-oh, and it was trying to sneak away,
Uh-huh.
then then the game was on. Can I stand up? Can I get my bow? Can I shoot this deer before it leaves?
Hmm.
Um, and so doing those types of things get me going. Getting close to deer. Like I've kept records, uh, and I don't know why I started it, but I can go back and tell you the distance to every deer that I've ever shot, how far they went, whether it was morning or evening, whether I was in a ground blind or elevated, what they weighed.
The weather,
Um,
probably.
yeah, yeah. Just a big, and I put in a spreadsheet. So my average shot on a whitetail deer is about 19 yards,
Hmm.
and here in the past 15 years, I like it to be about 14 or 15 yards. I really like
It's an
that
adrenaline
close in.
rush.
Yeah, yeah.
I know. I touched on that a while back, and I think I made a post about it, asking people. That's kind of the only way I've ever really hunted was, and I talked to people about this, and they, wow, that's all you ever done, And I like hunting on the ground. I know
Hmm.
that's different, but I've killed a lot of deer. Oh my gosh, 5 yards. Um,
Yeah.
I can remember setting up one time on this ridge, and I had a creek down below me, and these two bucks within a few minutes from each other walked up the same little trail. The first one walked to where I could have stuck my gun out like this and touched him. He sat there and looked at me. I don't know how he didn't see me breathing. My heart was about to jump out of my chest. And then the second one came up on the tree I was leaning against and walked right behind me, the same distance. And just, that is just so awesome. The adrenaline rush on that is insane.
I've had hen turkeys step over my legs.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, that's really cool. And it's something else, man. You know, being that close to deer, you know, I've always used limbs and stuff. I would get limbs and just pile them up on top of me and try and look like I was, you know, just a part of the woods. And I think that's helped out a lot whenever, you know, I've seen these deer get really close like that. It's like I said, it's something else. I encourage everybody to try hunting like that. At least
Well,
once.
and just doing little techniques here. If you take a lock on
Uh-huh.
and you put it on a tree with nothing else around it, that's like I would never
Yeah,
do that.
yeah, yeah.
I
Mm.
almost always have something running interference for me. I used to hunt planted pines. What's in every planted pine forest? Sweet gums. Find me a pine tree with a sweet gum next to it. Money. That is a money stand.
Yeah, I got you.
And lifelines and safety harnesses. That's something that you just have to do. And I've got some good videos of making your own, but they're so readily available now. You can buy them on the cheap. And lifelines in every one of our stands. You don't have to worry about climbing up or climbing down in the dark and missing a step and hitting the ground.
I
Um,
just I just seen where Hank Parker
yeah,
fell. Did you see that?
yep, yep. And
And
ladder stands are just as bad.
yeah.
Elevation. It doesn't matter whether you fall out of a ladder stand or a lock on or a
Mhm.
climber. The ground still hurts.
Oh
And
yeah, I bet.
and and I worked at MCG for a bunch of years.
Mhm.
I still call it that.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you the number of falls that have come in there. Broke backs, broke pelvises, broke legs, crushed ankles,
From
and
from that?
yeah, from falling. Yeah,
Oh my gosh. And that's what you don't hear about. Um, you know, I was gonna say too, you know, the whole reason I even started my page to begin with years ago was a guy named you probably remember this too, a guy named Robbie Pavey. If he's watching, shout out to Robbie Pavey. But he used to do the outdoor section in the newspaper
right,
every Saturday or Sunday. I'm not sure on the day, but you could flip back there and he would have like a little article about something local, a local deer that some boy shot or something like that. And I can remember sitting down with my grandfather and, you know, let me get the sports section. And, you know, he'd tear it out for me and I'd get all excited wanting to see, you know, what was going on. And it was like over time, they started transitioning from newspapers to, you know, like it is now, right? And
right.
all that kind of went away. And a little bit went off in my head one time that, man, what if I could do something where I could bring all the locals deer that they've killed and present it to everybody so that way we could still keep up with what's going on. I'm sure everybody would love to say, hey, man, a big buck was killed right up the road or, you know, or in this county or, you know, something like that. And so that's kind of why I started my page. And so hopefully everybody loves it, you know?
Yeah, and these regional pages are everywhere.
Yeah.
Uh, I just talked to a buddy of mine that I alligator hunt with down in Central Florida, and he was telling me that he had a beautiful piebald buck uh, on his camera. The WMA where he was going to hunt him opens up tomorrow, and he was killed like Tuesday, and
Oh,
he saw us. So he's like, well, I know not to go down there and hunt him because he ain't there.
yeah. And see, there you go. And that brings me to something else I wanted to ask you about was like deer cameras. We touched base on it earlier when we first started
Hmm.
talking, but in your opinion, how far along has deer cameras came and have they helped you out a lot in your hunting over the years?
They have it. I date all the way back to white flash 35 millimeter cameras, and you know, people that are when you can buy a reveal for $100 now.
Hmm.
Okay, my first real game camera, turned the page at Bass Pro Shop, and I was like, oh, I got to have this, a 35 millimeter camera in a housing that I still had to buy film for
Uh-huh.
and go get developed so I could see what was on it.
Yeah.
That camera was $699.
Wow.
And now you can buy a camera for 100, you know,
Yeah.
another few bucks a month and you can get all the pictures right then and there, right at your fingertips. Uh, so Yeah, I've gone from the regular digital cameras where you have to change out the SD card
Mm-hmm.
to the ones we have now, which are, not everybody has them. But if you're going and getting a chip out of a card
Mm-hmm.
and plugging it in and looking at it, you're reading last week's newspaper. You're not
Exactly.
seeing what's happening right now.
Yeah.
And probably one of the most effective things that we do is when we have a deer that pops in daylight or good light, early light, when they come 2 days in a row, well, I'm there the third day waiting on them.
There you go.
Sometimes they
Yeah.
show up, sometimes they don't. But
Mm-hmm.
that gives you that brief little pattern. Why wait 3 or 4 days for them to show up and try them on the fifth day?
Mm-hmm.
If they show 2 days in a row, they can come back that third day.
Yeah.
And it helps, but it also has created. I have a picture of this deer, so this deer's mine.
Mm-hmm.
And get mad at somebody else for shooting him.
Yeah.
Put yourself in their shoes. If that deer walked by me, I would shoot him.
Yeah.
I never could understand people getting mad when they would take a guest to their club, and
Mm-hmm.
their guest would shoot a deer, and they get mad. It's like, why did you bring them there if that's not what you were trying to do?
Exactly. You want them for what you want them to do. Yeah.
If you go, you got to tell them, I want you to deer watch for me, not shoot. Take their bullets in, or take their
Yeah.
arrows.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. That's crazy. I know something I wanted to joke with you about too was a lot of times and I know people in my family's guilty of this too. My grandfather was. He's got a picture. Matter of fact, that deer right there was killed in I think 91. That's his deer. And he told me he told me he killed that deer in oh gosh, January 6th or something like that. And back then he said that he was with a doe and was rutting still. And I was like, well, really? That's I haven't ever heard of deer doing that late. But anyway, he's got a picture with that deer and he looks like he's mad. And all the time I see
Mm-hmm.
people with these big bucks and they're like,
Yep.
always look mad. I always wonder why ain't people like, really excited of it.
You you look at anyone that I'm gripping and grinning. I got a smile on my face, and
Yeah,
that's something my mother tells me. So when we're taking a family picture, she says, "Smile like you got a deer," and it
yeah,
just takes me back to one of them.
yeah,
Makes me happy.
yeah. I understand, man. That's awesome, man. Anything else you want to touch on before we get off of here?
No, it's been a pleasure. I hope I've been a little bit entertaining.
Oh man, yeah,
Uh,
for sure. I wanted to get you on. I want to have people on here local every week and talk the outdoors. I mean, there's nothing better than to talk about the outdoors, and hopefully everybody can even get some little tips or hear some good stories about whatever. You being able to go all over to different places and hear about how hunting is different here than over here, and I mean it's just very interesting. I'm gonna keep it going and do it every week.
awesome. Awesome. Yeah, you keep it up, and you'll find some really. That's the thing. So in this area, there are so many people. Um, when Frank and I were in Kansas, we were at a little watering hole having a cheeseburger, and a guy comes walking by and stops. Just he walked right by, and he stops. He backs up, and the hat that Frank had on had a local golf course on it, and it
Uh-huh.
wasn't the big one. It wasn't the big golf course that you're thinking about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's another one. And the guy says, "Hey, is that a hat from?" And he's local. He's a local guy that we just bumped into in Kansas. He was
Hmm.
like that. People from here go all over. There's people that
Wow.
work at the Turkey Federation
Hmm.
that that I call to get, like, what unit are you going? What unit are you thinking about in Montana? What unit are you thinking about in Wyoming? And we talk about those kind of things. There's people. Hunting is a small world. It's a very small world, and when you get into it, to the people that are serious about it,
Hmm.
you'll find it cross sections uh, economy. It cross sections a lot of professions, and we're all the same when we get our camo on and get in a tree, and we get animals there that get us riled up, and we start making good shots or trying to get that shot made. it affects us all the same way, and it's a great thing. And I'm happier today that I hunted. I've met some great people. I've done some amazing things, and I consider myself to be one of the luckiest people around. I left bear camp without filling my tag this past spring, and the guys, some group of guys from New York, and they were like, you're not upset?" I'm like, "No," and they're like, "Why?" I said, "Because I've shot things and taken animals home that I probably didn't deserve, and so I'm happy then. I'm happy now.
Exactly.
Y'all got your bears. I'm happy for you. Let's do it again."
No, it's not catching and killing, is it?
That's
It's
right.
hunting and fishing.
Hunting and fishing. That's exactly right.
Well, man, it's been good having you, Derek. I really appreciate it, man. I've really enjoyed this. Hopefully everybody else enjoyed it too.
Yep, it'll be here for all eternity if you want to come back and watch. And
that's exactly right. May even
you know,
have you back on sometime.
and the YouTube channel is mine is not to make money. Mine is to help people out. It was started so that I could have a place. If I lost my files on my computer, I could go back and watch my own hunts. So I did it for me. If other people find it enjoyable, it's fun stuff. So
the passing through part, I meant to ask you about that. Where'd you get that name?
So that is a homage to Dan Fitzgerald. In one of his first videos, he had like an ambulance, an old box ambulance that was painted like a military green, and he had those old clear bug deflectors on the front, and it had passing through on that. And so one day I needed to create an email, and I think this was about 2002. I needed to create an email, so I that's what I use, but I only use one S in mine, so it's passing through. Yeah.
I just was trying to get that out there because I want everybody to go look at your videos, man. They are really some good videos, and it's Derek Passing Through on YouTube, correct?
Well, yeah, you can get to it by just doing Passing Through or just Derek Still, and
Derek Still Passing Through.
Yeah. So either one, and you should be able to find it. If you do the baboon monkey hunt, that's one of the first ones that come up. But the bunny huggers and bark lickers have complained enough that it's been age restricted. So you gotta sign in to watch that. But it's a pretty cool hunt.
I gotcha. Well, heck yeah, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on today, Derek.
You bet. Take care.
Yeah, you too, man. Take care. I'll talk at you later, brother.
You bet.